Hey everyone, it's Rob with Passport to the Parks, and today is, what is today? Thursday, I think it is? Yeah, it's Thursday, June the 25th. I had to look at the date down on my computer there. But wow, Disney just dropped kind of a bombshell this morning, and it says that they are now changing Splash Mountain in both Walt Disney World and Disneyland. They're retheming it to The Princess and the Frog. That's huge news that I think there's a lot of mixed reactions to so far. So I wanted to come on live and just get some reactions, check out some comments, and see what people think about this. Basically, they announced it on the Disney Parks blog just maybe about a half an hour or so ago, maybe a little longer. Excuse me. But they say, today we are thrilled to share a first glimpse of what Project Imagineers have been working on since last year. They say since last year. I'm not so sure about that, but Splash Mountain at both Disneyland Park in California and Magic Kingdom Park in Florida will soon be completely reimagined. The theme is inspired by the all-time favorite animated Disney film, The Princess and the Frog. We will pick up the story after the final kiss and join Princess Tiana and Louis on a musical adventure. It doesn't say anything about Prince Naveen, so that's interesting. Featuring some of the most powerful music from the film as they prepare for the first ever Mardi Gras performance. That's interesting. We'll read a little bit more as we go along here, but they do have some concept art. Let me drag this over here so you guys can see this. Maybe zoom in a little bit. If you haven't seen this, this is the concept art that they're going to be going with. So maybe I can open this up a little bit more. Give me 1 second here. All right, so there's the concept art. Obviously, this is the outside scene when you've already come down the Splash Mountain hill. You can see up at the top, they do have what looks like sort of maybe a shipwreck up there in the tree itself, which is interesting. Then they have Louis and Tiana floating around in one of the log flumes there. And I mean, it looks really pretty. Obviously, it'll probably be gorgeous, but, I think a lot of people are up in arms right now just for the fact that they are, taking and making this change from the original Splash Mountain. And granted, it is, the Song of the South, which is by no means to any standards that should be today. But, with the music and the animatronics and everything are so iconic through there, I think it's going to upset a lot of people. Personally, I love The Princess and the Frog. I mean, it's actually one of my favorite animated features that Disney has done. I think they did a brilliant job with it. The music is outstanding. It's beautiful. It's fun. It's entertaining. It's heartfelt, and it's a complete reconcept of the entire, frog kissing the prince and everything. So I love The Princess and the Frog, and I'm glad that they're actually bringing the IP into the parks a little bit more. But like I said, I'm not quite sure how well it's going to fit into the theming, especially at Walt Disney World. Let me jump over to the comments here and just get a feel of what people are saying. Goofy is great. Automatically with the huge what with the question marks. Yeah. It's kind of one of these things. They had talked about it and maybe do some retheming, and obviously with everything that's going on in the world right now, we kind of figured something would happen, but didn't think they would announce it this quickly. And they said that it's over the past year they've been working on this. Then why, especially in Florida, they just had Splash Mountain closed down for a complete refurb. And why wouldn't they address it at that point and say, maybe we're gonna change it to Princess and the Frog and announce the concept prior to what's going on. So, I really think that they're kind of on the coattails of what's going on in the world, which is fine. I mean, if you have to make those kind of changes, I'd rather they be just upfront and honest about it and make the change for the right reasons. Maybe they were throwing around ideas for the past year, and now they just thought, figured that this was the best time to do it. But let's see, Car Key I have a meeting at 1:30, so I'll at least hear the first 10 minutes. Hopefully you're here for the next 3 minutes or so and kind of see what's going on here. I haven't caught you live in a few months. Sorry about that, Scott. I've been kind of sporadically doing some lives here. Let's see, Michael, this makes me sad. Kids will never know about Zippity Doo Dah. Yeah, I mean, that's really a staple in the park. I mean, what a great song. And, you know, I've never ridden Splash Mountain, so I can't truly be the authority here. My daughter, my wife has ridden it. My daughter, she loves roller coasters and everything, but she really doesn't like Splash Mountain. She doesn't like the drop there in the water. Excuse me. But so she didn't really have an opinion on this. She loves Princess and the Frog too, so she kind of likes the idea of it being Princess of the Frog. But let's see, Anthony. Hey Rob, hope you're well, and can't wait to make the trip to Walt Disney World. Well, you're going to see some changes now when you come back. Obviously, Disney Houston's hi all. Just MHO. I don't think that it fits in with Frontierland. Maybe Pocahontas or something would fit in. Yeah, I think that's kind of where I kind of fit in with that as well. Frontierland, I don't think this works very well. In California, they already have the the New Orleans Square setup, so I think it does fit in a little better with the concept in Disneyland. But you're right, maybe go with a Pocahontas would be good. Even Toy Story, I think, would be, a better fit, possibly to do something. There's probably even go back to like Davy Crockett or something like that. If you need to pull in some Western, some frontier things, Pecos Bill is right there. There's a lot of Disney concepts that they could have went with. But again, I'm not knocking the Princess and the Frog because I do really, really love Princess of the Frog. I think it's wonderful. It's the last truly animated, drawn animation that Disney ever did. So I'm glad that they're paying a little homage to it. But man, huge deal for them to just kind of come up with this right now and launch this on everybody, especially with everything that's going on. People are already up in arms about going back, and they're nervous about that. And now something like this could be a pretty big blow to a lot of people. Matthew, I hope this is fake news. It is not. Like I said, it is literally on the Disney Parks blog. You can see it right there. Confirmed Disney Parks blog. There it is. They just announced this morning. New adventures with Princess Tiana coming to Disneyland Park and the Magic Kingdom Park. For sure, definitely happening. Nicole, at first I was heartbroken because the laughing place in Zippity Doo Dah and how you do exactly. But the more I think about it, I'm really excited if it does this well. Yeah, it's not a terrible thing. It's hard. Change is always hard, and especially when you heard rumors about them possibly taking the Country Bear Jamboree out and replacing it with Toy Story, and I hate that kind of stuff, especially when you go back to really, really older concepts and changing something like Country Bear Jamboree or the Tiki Room or something like that. I would not be a fan of. Splash Mountain has been there for a while, but it's not one of the original dark rides that Walt Disney had come up with and things like that. So change is always difficult, and if you're doing it for the right reasons, I can understand. But it's hard. It's hard to take something that we're so used to and that a lot of people love, and to just all of a sudden announce, hey, we're going to make it completely different for you. It's a tough pill to swallow sometimes. Hey, Kevin and Teresa, greetings, Rob. Not happy. Nana, wow, this is crazy. Zippity Doo Dad, thank you for being here, and thank you for being a moderator as well. I appreciate it. This breaks my heart, absolutely. Keith Baker, hey Rob, good to see you. How are things in Florida at the moment? Well, you can see things are definitely changing here in Florida, especially at Walt Disney World. Some huge bombshell news, obviously. On a side note, Florida is not doing well with what's going on in the world as far as the pandemic and things like that. Florida does not seem to be doing well with the numbers down here. A lot of cases growing and things like that. So everything is just sort of up in the air right now. I'm I'm not too sure what's going to happen coming up in the near future. Our cases keep going up and up and up, and Disney's obviously getting ready to open in just a couple weeks. Resorts are already opening up, and who knows what's going to happen. So it's a scary situation right now, and it's terrible that we got to go through this kind of stuff. Lisa Warden, hey, welcome. Appreciate you being here. Matthew, the best ride in the park was the best ride in the park. M. Eggers, ridiculous. Nana, so sad. I love this ride, but I know today's kids don't understand the story behind Splash Mountain. There's another good point, actually. As we progress along into the future, kids may not understand. You're right. This is not, this is something that we grew up in a generation of knowing and understanding, and even understanding, what's bad about it. And kids today maybe don't get that. And, maybe Disney just doesn't want to deal with it in the future. Just, if they're going to do it, they're just going to wipe the slate clean, move on, and move into, to future generations. That crazy Disney guy. Disney claims to be planning this since the last year. What a coincidence. Yeah, I totally agree with that. In reading this entire article, that is and they let it too. Imagineers have been working on this since last year. I wish they didn't lead with that. I wish they didn't put that line in there. Even if it is true, like I said, if they've been, trying to come up with some sort of a concept or, reimagining this, and I'm sure it's been on the docket for a while. They've always gotten complaints. They say they've gotten complaints about the ride and just the symbolism and things like that in the movie itself. But it just seems very coincidental with what's going on in the world. And again, not taking away from that. I truly believe that changes need to take place, and changes for the better. I wish they would have gone with that concept. And as you go further through the article, they're obviously they're quoting the voice of Princess Tiana, a lot of African American heritage and things like that. So it is what it is. I mean, it again, for good reasons, and I'm very proud, that they are doing this. I stand 100% behind this. But kind of make it like that. Go with what's happening in the world and make it about that. And I think they're going to try to sort of feed that in there a little bit. That we're adjusting to what's happening in the world, but we're making it an experience as well. And I'd rather they just they go with it like they should. Super Bowl champions 52. It breaks our hearts. Let's see. Mookie, sorry if I can't say that right. Mookie DeCat, I'm fine with it. A lot of different opinions here, and that's fine. Teresa, what a shame. P-Tier, thank you for being here as well and for being a moderator. I do appreciate that. Is this because of the Black Lives Matter protesting? I think that's what we're talking about. Again, it's for obvious reasons they have to make the changes and for what's going on in the world. And again, I applaud the entire situation. I stand behind it, and I'm glad that they are doing something. But they lead with, we've been planning this for a year. Then again, why, especially in Disney World? I'm not sure if Disneyland actually did the refurb or not, but Splash Mountain was closed for a while. Why didn't they just start the refurb then, or why didn't they announce it back then? It just seems, again, very coincidental. Somebody used that word a little earlier. Tyler, hey, what's up? Let's see here. Jumping around here. Resort budgeting. What is going on with you? Let's see. Red Cougar JGW. Pocahontas is racist too. Everything is racist to someone. You're probably not going to make people happy with everything that's out there. At some point maybe we have to find a little thicker skin for some of the things, but I completely understand, and I can't put myself in a position to understand what something like this feels like to different cultures, any of the cultures. there's Mulan, there's Pocahontas, there's Princess and the Frog, there's, all these different cultures out there. Moana, you can't put yourself in someone else's shoes. I have, my life that I've led, but there's other people that live different lives, and, you have to respect that. And, I'm all for making changes for positive reasons and making sure that we do things right. And I think Princess and the Frog, again, is a wonderful movie. I thought it was very well done. I watch it all the time. I'm very much a fan of it. And, hopefully I don't find it offensive. I hope other people wouldn't find this movie offensive either. Compared to Song of the South, and for obvious reasons, what that movie, stands for is definitely something that doesn't need to be out there. But fitting it into Frontierland, that's the other big thing that somebody had brought up. I just don't think that it works in a Frontierland. It's, I don't know what kind of adventure they're going to go on. Are they going to go, let me pull this picture up again. Bring it back over here. Zoom in on it. What are the adventures? It looks like there's maybe some sort of a houseboat or something up there in the tree. It completely looks like the bayou, though. It's not Western themed in any way. It's definitely New Orleans. They have the twinkling, the fireflies in the background, the starlight. Lewis is obviously playing the horn there, so it's going to be very jazz oriented. They said the music is going to be Princess and the Frog, oriented. A lot of bright colors, a lot of flowers, a lot of lush greenery, just all kinds of stuff that just leads towards the bayou and not Frontierland. Now, are they going to eventually just sort of adjust the whole concept of Frontierland and try to readjust it into a retheming in general? And this is the start of that. I don't know if you guys have any opinions on that. That would be interesting to see. I've always been a huge fan of Frontierland. I love all the old concepts in there. Pecos Bill, it was a wonderful short. I love Pecos Bill. Davy Crockett and, the coonskin caps and everything you can get in there. The Country Bear Jamboree is amazing. I love it. And, it does sort of merge sort of gradually into, the Haunted Mansion and Liberty Square and those kind of things. So maybe they're going to extend that out a little bit. Who knows? It just kind of seems like they're just putting this concept in for a reason to put it in. Kind of like what they did with Guardians of the Galaxy over at Epcot as well, where they just, dropped the IP in there just to get the IP in the park. And Princess and the Frog seem to be the best IP for them to go with right now. So who knows? I'm sure we're going to get a lot more out of this. There's going to be huge reactions from people. I know this is blowing up all over the internet right now. I was on Twitter just a little bit ago, and everybody's posting about it already. People already put the cry faces up there for people who don't like it. They're going to put the articles up there. Splash Mountain going to be gone. Rest in peace to the legend himself. Your ASS will be missed. Oh yeah, there's Brer Bear there and his butt hanging out. There's some very iconic animatronics. There's some very iconic music in there. The concept behind the movie itself is nothing that I particularly care for, or that Disney should stand behind in any way, which obviously they're not. But it's hard to see this. It's hard to see things that have been there for so long, and it's hard for me to talk about it, because again, I've never been through this ride. I'm a huge chicken to go down the hill. But I've seen it, I've seen videos of it, and I know the music, and everybody has a laughing place and zippity doo dah and everything. It's just part of the Disney culture. It's part of going through and hearing the music through the Disney parks, and it's I have all the old CDs of Disney music and Magic Kingdom music and everything, and that is like one of the huge staples. It's like taking away it's a Small World and replacing it with something else, which I actually would be maybe a fan of replacing that song, because you know, you get stuck on that ride, which you always get stuck on that ride at the end, and that song repeats and repeats and repeats and repeats over and over again. So would I rather listen to some Princess and the Frog music than It's a Small World, or It's a Laughing Place over and over again? Maybe. I mean, I truly love the Princess and the Frog music. I think it's great. You know, Dr. Facilier is an amazing villain. I think he was very well done. Just all the characters in the movie are great. So we'll see what happens. You know, it's going to be, you know, I'm sure they're going to upgrade the animatronics. They're going to do like they did with, you know, Frozen Ever After, with the, you know, the very high-tech digital animatronics and everything, which, you know, it's cool. I do like that kind of stuff, but I'm a very old school person, so I hope that they don't go full out and have those completely digitized faces and things like that. Go to that old school animatronic, like when you go through, you know, Splash Mountain, or when you go through Pirates of the Caribbean or the Haunted Mansion, and you see those wonderful old animatronics. This is I would still consider this one of the an older Disney classic, and again, one of the old animated, hand-drawn Disney classics. So maybe kind of stay with that feeling as you go through the ride, and who knows if they will or not. Let's see what everybody else says. Madeline, this is just stupid. Chris, hey, how are you? Madeline, Splash Mountain is better than this crap. Red Cougar, Song of the South is not racist. You know, everybody has an opinion. Personally, I do believe it's not appropriate, however you want to categorize it. It's definitely not appropriate for the symbolism and things that they have. You know, it's part of our history as a country, a history that I'm not proud of, and I'm sure no one else is proud of out there. And you know, I don't want to make this a complete political statement out there. We all have our beliefs, and I'm not here to, you know, to debate that. But as a whole, I think the community doesn't stand behind Song of the South, and you know, I'm fine with a change. I just don't appreciate the way that they've gone about announcing the change. You know, again, I wish that they would say, these are the reasons that we're doing it. We're standing behind these reasons. And maybe they will as time goes on. I think, again, that first sentence, you know, saying we've been doing this for a year, then you should have announced it, you know, a while back, especially when they were doing the refurb. I think that's what is going to get under a lot of people's skin. And we'll see if it does or not. Let's see here. JS, I like the new animatronics. So you're a fan of the more digital animatronics. I mean, they're cool. They're very lifelike, and you know, technology is awesome. I'm all for technology, but I love going through and just getting that feeling of those old animatronics. You go through the Pirates of the Caribbean, and it's a completely different feeling as you go through than as you go through Frozen Ever After. You know, it for me, it just puts me in a different era of Disney magic. You know, seeing, you know, the full animation and the lit up faces, and they're completely animated and they're talking, and then you have the you know, the Pirates of the Caribbean, where it's very, you know, it's kind of the robotic pulling somebody in and out of the well, and you have the, you know, running around on the tracks, and you know, the very robotic movements. I just like that. I personally prefer seeing that. That's a very Disney-esque thing. You know, I do like some of the newer rides, like the what is it? The Navi River with the huge animatronic in there. The I forget what they call them, the avatars. And I mean, she's just amazing. I mean, she looks like there's actually an actor or actress inside of that working. But that's, you know, it's a brand new ride. It's a brand new concept, and that's cool. I just like sticking with the Princess and the Frog. I really hope that they go to a more traditional animatronic. And I think a lot of people are saying, you know, they're going to miss the animatronics that are in. Again, you have Brer Bear here that you can see. they're going to miss a lot of those animatronics, so maybe sort of bridge the gap to ease the pain a little bit, maybe to figure this out. But we'll see. I'm sure we'll see more concept art as we go along and get more information. This was the only thing released so far. What else do they say here? Tiana is a modern. Notice some of the lines they use here. Tiana is a modern, courageous, and empowered woman who pursues her dreams and never loses sight of what is really important. It's a great story with a strong lead character set against the backdrop of New Orleans and the Louisiana Bayou. In 1966, Walt himself opened New Orleans Square when it became the first land added to Disneyland Park. So it feels natural to link the story and the incredible music of Princess and the Frog to our parks. And they're leaning towards New Orleans Square. They're leaning towards the concept of Disneyland. They're not addressing Frontierland too much here. It goes on to say the voice of Princess Tiana, Tony Award-winning actress Annika Noni Rose, hopefully I said that correct, shared, "It's really exciting to know that Princess Tiana's presence in both Disneyland and the Magic Kingdom will finally be realized. As passionate as I am about what we created, I know that the fans are going to be over the moon. The Imagineers are giving us the Princess and the Frog Mardi Gras celebration we've been waiting for, and I'm here for it." So obviously it sounds like she's fully on board. She's going to do the voice work. I'm sure they'll get the voice of Louis to come in. Again, they don't say anything about Prince Naveen. They don't say anything about Dr. Facilier. And, that's about it so far. The approach to retheming or plussing attractions, as Walt Disney referred to it, begins with Imagineers asking the question, how can we build upon or elevate the experience to tell a fresh, relevant story? Some keywords they're throwing in here that you can see there. Tiana is a modern, courageous, and empowered woman. The approach to plussing to elevate the experience and tell a fresh, relevant story. They're obviously putting these words in here because, this is driven by, what's going on in the world, which again is a wonderful thing. I just go with that, be the leaders in this and make the changes and don't react to the changes. They could have made this change well before, any of this happened. Again, they had already shut down Splash Mountain. They've already, been doing the refurb on it. So, maybe they could have led the industry with this change already. Seems a little reactive to what could have been done. Let's see here. And with this long-standing history of updating attractions and adding new magic, the retheming of Splash Mountain is of particular importance today. The new concept is inclusive, one that all of our guests can connect with and be inspired by, and it speaks to the diversity of the millions of people who visit our parks each year. So they really go on, to dive a little deeper into, what's really, driving this change. Sharita Carter, the senior creative producer leading the project at Walt Disney Imagineering, shared, like Princess Tiana, I believe that the courage and love are the key ingredients for wonderful adventures. I am delighted to be a part of bringing this fun-filled experience to our guests. For Imagineers, change is rooted in the traditions set by Walt Disney, who encourage new innovations, new ideas, new scenes, and current storytelling. And the experiences they create can be enjoyed by guests who visit our parks all over the world. So again, just really kind of pushing. Sorry, I keep reaching down here to scratch my leg. I got an itch on my leg. It's driving me crazy. Kind of really going into the concept of why they're really making the changes. Let's see here. DJ Quixoto, sorry, one if I mispronounce that. I'm surprised Tom Sawyer Island hasn't been cut out yet. That's another one that could be definitely on the chopping block sometime in the future. Like I said, maybe this is sort of the beginning of, reimagining Frontierland a little bit. Tom Sawyer Island might be, being reimagined into something else, more of a bayou or something like that. And again, I love Tom Sawyer Island. I love the concept there. It's, is it extremely popular? No. But, I love going out there. I love exploring. I love the forts. I love those kind of things. But, you look at Tom Sawyer, as maybe not being something that's very relevant for today as well. So good point. That could be next on the chopping block for sure. Matthew, I just lost you there. Sorry. Matthew, Country Bear Jamboree, Mock Southern People, Peter Pan has racist scenes. Jungle Cruise has questionable scenes. Only reason that they are not discussed is because they chose what to be offended by. Another opinion, I love hearing other people's points of views, and it kind of makes you think. There's things throughout, all the things. In the tiki room, they have the the tikis, kind of with that whole Polynesian concept. Is that, what do you look at that? Do you look at that as being incorrect or not correct, or politically correct, or whatever you want to say? There's all kinds of things as you kind of look through the parks of what's right and what's wrong. Let's see, Voos Wing, sorry. I like the idea of the Princess and the Frog ride, but hate that Disney keeps caving to the PC police. Yeah, they seem to make a lot of changes. Again, reactive changes. I wish that they would be maybe a little proactive now, which it seems maybe they're going to be. I think Disney is a very diverse company, and I love the fact that Disney really does, put themselves out there, and they stand behind, all of their employees, and they stand behind diversity and things like that, which is wonderful. And, they're trying to do the right thing. And this is just, the first step in doing so. That one foo, only reason they announced it today was to take away from from Disneyland not reopening on the 17th. Yeah, I saw that this morning too, that Disneyland will not be reopening, obviously, with all the, the cases rising in California, which it makes me nervous with Florida here as well. I mean, we are seriously on the rise here. And, I just thought it was a really smart idea that Disney had waited, literally a month after Universal opened to really kind of feel out how, this is going to happen. Were we going to plateau? Were cases going to drop? And we're obviously on an incline here that does not look good. So who knows if Disney World will even make it to their opening as well. Again, some of the resorts are opening, and there's not hardly anybody at the resorts. And I think overall people are just still very guarded about going out. Personally, I'm still guarded about going out. It makes me nervous. But we'll see what happens as we go on. But yeah, you could be right. Maybe a distraction from that. It's definitely a distraction. I don't know if it's a positive thing. They're going to get a lot of backlash from this for sure. Timothy, maybe they will add a new New Orleans Square mini land between Frontierland and Adventureland by the walkway near the outpost. They could do that. And like somebody said with Tom Sawyer Island, maybe they kind of, kind of make that transition through the island over to Splash Mountain. But then you have Big Thunder Mountain, on the opposite side of that, and then you have all the Frontierland, Country Bear Jamboree, and all that stuff, the shooting gallery. So I don't know how they would make that. Would be sort of a weird transition. It's pretty spread out, but who knows what they're going to do. Let's see. Street Cred. Thank you for being here. Song of the South was never appropriate, even in its time, let alone now. Craig's Obiotics. I butcher a lot of these names. I am so sorry. Disney Caved. Imagine that. Let's see here. Let's Go Flying. The animatronics used in the ride were reused because they were a little low on funds. Yeah, they did. They reused it from America Sings, I think it was. So yeah, that is very true. Maybe they'll try to regenerate a lot of these animatronics into Princess and the Frog as well. I really hope that they do. Matthew, why go to the parks when they strip it of so many activities and no park opening? I don't know. I don't know what the concept behind it right now is. They didn't even really announce. I don't know if it's going to be open. I assume it's not going to be open when the park, reopens on the 11th or whatever it is. So I think probably Splash Mountain is just done. I mean, you're not going to be able to go on it. I don't know why they would open it up for a little bit and then reclose it down. It seems like they are just going to go ahead and get it closed down. Joe George, you have to consider air traffic is down 80%. Florida parks derive a lot of sales from jet visitors. Yeah, it's they get a lot of overseas visitors, especially Disney World, Florida. Gets a lot of people from overseas, a lot of people from the UK, the Asian countries. They come here on vacation a lot. So, if air travel is going to be restricted and difficult, then reopening is going to be difficult. I think they're going to rely a lot on the annual pass holders coming, and it's it would be difficult for me to really spend a lot on a vacation if I was coming, especially from a long distance, to come and only get 50% of what the parks would generally offer. So maybe Disney will reconsider, especially with the growing trend of what's happening with the virus and everything. Let's see here. Chris 209X. While the BLM movement actually took it far to change an iconic ride, Splash Mountain, to Princess and the Frog. Yeah, it's a huge movement, and it's the right movement. And this is my personal feeling. It is the right movement. The world needs to change. The world needs to believe in the equality for all. People are treated differently in this country and around the world, and it does need to change. And things are gonna sting. Things that we're used to, we're gonna see change, and they need to change in the future. In order for us to change as a culture, as a world, as a country, things like this do need to happen. It's kind of, you wake up one morning and boom, you just need to get slapped in the face and say, no more. Things have to change. Things have to be different. And Disney did. They pressed go on their blog and reached out from our computer screens and slapped us in the face and said, we're going. And this is what's happening. Let's see here. Mush. I'm not even going to try this. Mushy Shui. I'm sorry. This is probably very early planning, and I imagine Splash could be open for a year or more. So you believe that Splash Mountain will actually be open when the park reopens? I'm going to say that they're just going to close it. I'm going to say that when they reopen their doors, that Splash Mountain is just going to be closed. Again, it doesn't really say. As part of the creative development process, conceptual design work is well underway, and Imagineers will soon be able to conduct preliminary reviews and develop a timeline for when the transformation can start and take shape. Who knows what that last paragraph means? It's design work is underway, and Imagineers will soon be able to conduct preliminary reviews and develop a timeline for when the transformation can take shape. Maybe that could mean that it will be open until they're ready to really dive into it. This sort of contradicts. Read this, and maybe I'm nitpicking here, but sorry about that. It says, today we are thrilled to share the first glimpse of a project Imagineers have been working on since last year. So they say right in the first line that they've been working on it for last year. But in the last paragraph, as part of the creative development process, conceptual design work is well underway, and Imagineers will soon be able to conduct preliminary reviews and develop a timeline when the transformation can start to take shape. So this has been ongoing for a year, but now they're just going to start developing the preliminary timeline to do this. So I think that sort of contradicts what they say in the beginning versus how they close it out here. So again, this seems kind of reactive to me and not proactive, but who knows? Maybe, I'm sure things just don't happen in a snap. Somebody just doesn't walk into an office and say, we're going to change Splash Mountain, and it just happens. There's probably a lot of work that goes into this, and it's who knows? Nobody knows unless you're sitting at a desk over there, but that seems pretty contradictive. So maybe they will leave it open. Maybe when we walk in there, Splash Mountain will be open for another 6 months, and then they'll shut it down when they're ready to do it. But if they're going to make this change, and for the reasoning behind it, I would just say that they should probably just close it down. If it's for the right reasons and it's for what they're really going for here, I believe that it should just be shut down and go with it and say, this is the change we're making. This is, we're standing behind diversity. We're standing behind the movement in the world. We're making things right. We're going to lead the way, and it's closed, and we're moving on. So we'll have to see. Way Too Son, no. You have the Luke Skywalker, no. SNJ retheming. Yep, they're retheming it. P-tier, are they ripping it down or just a retheme? Well, by the concept art, it just looks like a retheme. You still have the giant tree. You have the waterfall. Even in the front there, you have sort of the barn-looking structure that you go through with the log flumes. And it looks like the same sort of raft ride that you ride around as after you come down the falls. So it doesn't look like they're going to completely start from the ground up. They're just going to retheme it and go with that. It's obviously a cheaper price tag to do these kind of things when Disney's not going to tear down a huge attraction like this and start from the ground up. Even look what they did with Guardians of the Galaxy. They still use, the front entrance as a queue, and then they build the ride system behind it. Will they add to the ride system here? Who knows? Will they expand it? There's not a whole lot of room to work behind, where the ride system is, because you have the railroad back there. And, God forbid that they shut down the railroad again to make any sort of adjustment to make this ride any bigger than what it already is, and have to, to tear up the railroad behind Splash Mountain. They've already had it shut down for over a year because of Tron. So I wouldn't see them doing that. That would be really not make people happy at all. Let's see, Lori French, thank you for being here. Appreciate that. A lot of chatting amongst yourselves, which is always good. Let's see. Stalin loves Disney. Rob, hey, what are your thoughts for the new Cinderella castle colors? Ooh, that's another one. Let me see if I can find a picture of it here. I know people have posted it. Let's see here. Cinderella castle. Let's see, Cinderella Castle pink. That's sort of a distant picture of it back there. Let's see here. So yeah, that's the new coloring of it. It's interesting. if I don't know, this is a tough one. I like the blue. I like the royal blue coloring. This reminds me a lot of Sleeping Beauty. Oh, I am not even on the right screen. I'm sorry, guys. So this reminds me a lot of Sleeping Beauty Castle in Disneyland. I think the color scheme sort of leans a little more towards that pinkish color that they use there. I'm not a huge fan of it. I love the 25th anniversary cake. I'm a huge advocate for that. I love that whole time frame. You know, they totally went pink with that. They went with all the candies on it, and they made it just look like a giant birthday cake, which I totally love. This, I'm not sure what they were going with. That's an interesting pink color. It's a weird off pink color. It's not pink, and it's not like rose gold or anything. I don't like the combination of the colors. I think it just... I wish they would have stayed with more of the light blue or the gray concept and just made the pillars more of a bright blue color. I'm not feeling that. I don't know what everybody else has opinions on this or not, but you know, it is what it is, and this is definitely a paint job on there. So when they did the 25th anniversary castle, most of that was just like an inflated covering that they put over the castle. So the original castle was underneath it, and then they had some of it was painted, but most of it was like the pillars and everything was like this inflated vinyl or whatever that they put over it, and then the candies and everything were on top of it. Because I actually remember going there and one of them was deflated. So this covering is definitely going to be there for a couple of years, I would assume. So I don't know if this is just going to be a 50th anniversary thing and they'll change it again in the future, but I honestly hope that this isn't what they stay with. Not a big fan of it, and that's personal opinion, not a huge fan. Gaming with Isabella, it wouldn't really make sense because Princess and the Frog takes place in the bayou. Yeah, we've been talking about that, definitely. Sports guy ruining the immersive experience in Frontierland. Yeah, it's, you know, if you go with it in Disneyland, I think it works fine. You know, I don't see a big issue with it there. But as far as going with it in Frontierland, I don't like the concept. I wish they would have went another route. Toy Story would have been great. Davy Crockett, Pecos Bill. Those are just the ones off the top of my head. I'm sure there's some other westerns. You know, the Apple Dumpling Gang would have been good. I mean, you can't really do much with it, I guess. They really want to put a huge IP in there, which, you know, at least they can go with the, you know, a princess and, you know, really give some love to Princess and the Frog, which I do appreciate. But you're right, it doesn't fit into Frontierland at all. I don't think that fits. You know, Guardians of the Galaxy doesn't fit at Epcot, and you know, sometimes it just feels like they kind of throw something in there because they need to throw something in there, and I wish they would have went another route with it. Let's see here. Looks like Mike was posting something that he shouldn't have in here. Hopefully the moderators grabbed him, so I appreciate that. P-Tier, if you got that, I appreciate that. Brandon, I was at Disneyland last year. The color is much nicer in person than in photos. Yeah, I mean, it's hard to judge until you're standing in front of it and you walk down Main Street. You know, you can't really judge it. It is what it is. You have a lot of pictures from far away, and maybe it will look better in the sunlight. Again, I like the blue. I like the brighter blue colors, the royal blue. It's just a weird combination. It almost looks like they're kind of going for what they did in Shanghai, kind of with that coloring, that castle coloring and things like that. So maybe they're just leaning towards more of these shades and tones of colors and things like that. Bubble Gaming, you think Walt Disney is rolling in his grave? Maybe he is. You know, there's a lot of things that have been done that I wonder what Walt Disney may have thought about it. And again, Splash Mountain really wasn't a Walt Disney himself project. It's not like taking, you know, It's a Small World and changing it or changing the Carousel of Progress or changing the Tiki Room or something like that. That's, Walt Disney had his hands on that. The Pirates, they did change. They took, Red, the original, the redhead from Pirates, and they changed it to Red the Pirate. So, they did manipulate that a little bit to make that a little more correct, but they didn't, overall change the entire concept of the ride. They gradually brought in, updated it with Pirates of the Caribbean, which was fine, but they didn't take Walt's baby and change it. So, maybe they should have just gradually did something to change the concept of Splash Mountain, and maybe Princess and the Frog is sort of a big leap for that. But, we'll see what happens. M. Eggers, Pocahontas would have been perfect. It would have been probably a good fit in there. Let's see here. Street Cred Frontierland, they could have done something in regards to the volcanic legacy of the PNW for Splash, similar to the Everest at Walt Disney World. I know, but didn't... yeah, I mean, you guys can read that. I really don't want to read that comment. I'm sorry. Let's see. The Shining Katana. I hate this. Simon, hopefully it's just a 50th anniversary color for the castle. I really hope so. Let's see here. Bubble Gaming Splash Mountain is still a classic, and there's no good reason for changing it. M. Eggers, oh please, yep, Pirates were warm and fuzzy. Let's see what everybody else has to say here. Zero, in the concept art, the castle doesn't look pink. Yeah, in the original concept art for the new castle, it definitely didn't look like this for sure. Not quite sure if that was just a misjudgment in the color. You would think that as soon as they started rolling the paint on, somebody would have said, yeah, that's not exactly what it was, but maybe this overall was what they were going for. It's not for us to say. We just have to go and enjoy what they give us. Bubble Gaming, I might boycott Disneyland after this. When will people learn capitulating to the mob never works? Again, everybody has their own ideas and their own beliefs, and this is what makes this country great, is we can all do what we feel is right in our own hearts, and I totally stand behind having the ability to do that. So boycotting Disneyland, I'm not sure if that's really going to help right now, because they're not even going to open. So right now there's nothing to boycott, but in the near future, if that's what people choose to do, then absolutely more power to that. People choose to stand behind the movement that's happening in the world right now. People could stand behind not supporting it, supporting other things, doing other things. That's what makes this country so amazing, and that's why I love living here, is seeing how the country can come together or be separated, and find a way to come to a common goal in the end. Hopefully there will be a common goal. Whether or not this is good or bad, that's yet to be seen. We'll just have to wait and see what the final product is. One thing that I have always been preaching now is, when Disney does something or they announce something, I'm always quick to judge, and that's a downfall that I've had. I've said it for Guardians a lot along the way, that I don't like it. I don't like the concept being there. I don't think it fits into Epcot, but I have to stand back and look at when it's done, finally, what it's going to look like in the end, how it's going to fit in. Until it's open and ready to go and Disney is completed with it, you can't really say what's good or what's bad. So if Disney has, a grand plan in the end for this, we have to sit back and wait. So I'm not going to lay final judgment down until we have a 100% completed project and Disney, says this is what we're going to do, this is how it's going to fit in, this is why we're doing it, and then seeing it in the very end, and then make a call and say, well, this is something that I believe in or something that I don't like, or what it is. Right now, it's just it's an announcement, it's a concept, it is what it is, and we have to just kind of go with it for now. And that's all we can do. So I'm not going to lay a judgment down. I'm not going to say that I'm for it or not. And again, I'm not the best person to do this because I don't ride Splash Mountain. It's not a ride that is a particular interest for me. It's not something that I enjoy doing. I don't like the drop and everything. It's something that I wish I could have gone through to seen, and avoided that drop in the end. But something I'll never do. And I'm actually kind of bummed because I do really, really like The Princess and the Frog. I love the movie. I do love the concept of a Princess and the Frog attraction. Whether or not it should be this attraction is yet to be seen. So I'm not a big fan of retheming and taking older attractions and making them into something modern just to throw IPs into the park. I wish they would just expand and build new things and build new rides and build new attractions. Build a fifth theme park and put a Princess and the Frog attraction or a Guardians of the Galaxy attraction over there, and not take things that we love away from us and change them into different concepts. But the world is about change, and it is what it is, and that's what we have to roll with. See if anybody else is chiming in here. Let's see here. I think we did that. SNJ, I heard they are trying to get rid of the Jungle Cruise next. We'll see if that, if it's all part of it. Adventureland, if they're going to make changes through there as well. We'll see. Things could really start to get different over the next few years, 5 years, whatever it may be. Bubble Gaming, I hope they don't go through with it. I fervently hope they don't. Let's see, is it Lorena from Princeton, New Jersey? This seemed like a concept, or it wasn't really broke up, or it wasn't really broke, so don't fix it, or why fix it? I'm sorry, it's kind of hard to read these sometimes. They should have just did what they did with the Small World, Jurassic Park, and Pirates, update and modernize it. Yeah, I kind of agree with that. Maybe they just should have gone through and just redid it a little bit, and instead of just throwing a whole brand new concept in there. It's really a difficult pill to swallow. Let's Go Flying. Too many people outsource their happiness to the parks rather than just try to create it on their own. Those people really dislike change. It's a business with stockholders. Actually, I think you nailed it right there. I think ultimately things are always going to change. You're right. As new generations come through, as they try to get new people into the parks, people to bring their kids in there. I love going in there and seeing Carousel of Progress and Pirates of the Caribbean and the Haunted Mansion and things like that. But for a 10-year-old kid, and they walk into Disney and they see, the Tiki Room, and they don't see anything that they've grown up with. They don't see, Guardians of the Galaxy, or they don't see Marvel or Star Wars and things that they know of Disney today. Then it's kind of hard to sell, bringing them back or coming back and things like that. So I agree that they need to look at it as a business, and they have to figure out what newer generations are definitely going to want. But I think they could do that with more expansions and not necessarily have to change everything in the parks, and take away some of the things that we really love growing up with Disney and change it into something else. So I understand, and again, I totally understand why this is being done for Splash Mountain, and I actually support the reasoning behind it, and I'm all for that. And again, I love Princess and the Frog, so I can't say that I'm totally, against this or disgusted by it, because I don't ride the ride, and I don't know. I just reiterate that. Other people are going to have different opinions on this, but it is what it is, and I don't know if I could beat this dead horse anymore with my opinions on it. Let's see here. M. Eggers, my grandchildren have grown up in the parks. I took them on COP for the first time when they were 8 and 10, and they loved it. I mean, definitely, my daughter loves these things too. Our favorite attraction is actually to go on together is Carousel of Progress. She loves it. She loves, the theming, the animatronics, the music, and it's just a fun experience for us to have. But overall, the majority of the newer generation wants to come, and they want to be thrilled, and they want to see the IPs. They want to see the things that they know. They want to see roller coasters. They want to see this. They want to see that. And the world is just changing, and it's going to adapt. No matter what opinions we may have, pro or con against it, the world is definitely going to change and adapt to it. My mouth is getting extremely dry. It's kind of hard to yap for 1 hour and 3 minutes that we've been going here. So let's see here. Man, some of these names that are out there. Iron Guazli, my dad 69. You guys are killing me with some of these names. Why can't people just come up with J. Smith or Tom S? Make it easy on me. Once Walt Disney World opens back up, I'm gonna marathon the hell out of Splash. Yeah, we don't know if it's going to be open. Maybe they'll be open for a little while. Maybe it will just be closed as soon as they reopen. So this paragraph it doesn't really say. They just say stay tuned for more. As part of this creative development process, conceptual design work is well underway, and Imagineers will soon be able to conduct preliminary reviews, and develop a timeline for when the transformation can start to take shape. So who knows, that could mean that it could be closed and they're going to start looking at it, or it could mean that they'll leave it open, and when they're ready, they'll close it down. Unclear so far. Richard, glad for the change to Splash Mountain, but the real change will come from the revised hiring practices. Maybe overall, I thought Disney was pretty good as far as being a diverse company and, hiring a wide range of employees. I never really saw that. Maybe, I don't have the experience with that, and maybe there's some things that I don't know about, but as far as Disney being an overall diverse company, I really think they are. One of the things that I appreciate when I go into Disney World is seeing so many different cultures and so many heritages and so many people from around the world who work there, who travel there. It is just a melting pot for many, many wonderful people and wonderful cultures from all over. So, excuse me, it's one of the things that I actually love about going to Disney is being amongst so many different people that you may not get a chance to interact with. It's one of the things, especially when I talk about my own personal experiences at Disney, is talking to different people and getting to know somebody. You have maybe 5 minutes on a bus that you can try to get to know somebody, but it's awesome to do that and figure out, they could be from somewhere, on the other side of the world coming here, and you can kind of talk about your own lives for 5 or 10 minutes and just have that general reaction between, two different families, which is very cool. Let's see, who else do we have coming on here? Lori French, I think I said hello to you. Resort budgeting. I saw you way up on the top of the chat there. Simply Rodell. It's hard to replace a classic. Dylan, do you want them to keep the name Splash Mountain or change it? That is that's interesting. I don't think they touch on that. Today we're thrilled to share the first glimpse of a project, Splash Mountain. They say Splash Mountain at both Disneyland Park and in California and Florida will soon be completely reimagined. Whether or not they'll keep it named Splash Mountain, I do not know. I don't know what they would call it. They could call it Bayou Falls. I don't know. I think Bayou Falls would be, if they do change it, Bayou Falls would be a good name for it. I don't know if they're going to change it from Splash Mountain or not. They most likely will. I think they'll totally go away from the entire concept of Splash Mountain and what it is. So I'm putting my vote in for Bayou Falls right away. That just kind of came to my head, and that might be a kind of cool name for it. So we'll have to wait and see. Let's see here. Cyril, the people who complain will stop complaining once it's done and move on with their lives. Yeah, exactly. You know, once it'll just become part of the Disney landscape. It's like the Skyliner. You know, people, oh, the Skyliner, this and that, and, you know, don't want to ride the Skyliner, it's going to be a sweatbox and all that. Now it's just part of the Disney landscape. And people overall, you know, love the Skyliner. I love the Skyliner. You know, we just got to adapt to things. Mr. Gamer, I think the new Splash Mountain is going to look cool with New Orleans. Yeah, overall, I think it's probably going to be beautiful. I don't have anything against them doing Princess and the Frog. I think the flowers, the greenery, the water, everything, you could make beautiful concepts with it. And fitting into like a New Orleans square setting will be perfect. I'm agreeing with people though that it's the wrong concept for Frontierland. You know, you have the Old West versus Louisiana. It's two very distinctly different scenarios. So I don't know how they're going to, you know, adjust that in there unless their travels have taken them into the Old West for some reason, and Tiana and a giant, you know, alligator have traveled into the Old West. You know, I don't know, what are they going to do? They can't combine the two concepts. So I think overall it will probably be just something that they will just sort of regenerate and re-theme Frontierland overall into maybe two different concepts. We talked about earlier, Tom Sawyer Island, and maybe there's some re-theming that'll happen there. You know, maybe overall they re-theme Big Thunder Mountain. That's another one. They start diving into Big Thunder Mountain, and there's going to be a lot of upset people. And it's once you start changing an entire concept of a land, it could get dangerous. So unless they find a way to really, really adapt the bayou into Frontierland, you know, you're sort of slipping down a slippery slope there with changing the entire concept of a land. So it'd be interesting to see. Jungle Juice, Splash Mountain is a Disney icon. Lori French, I love the Skyliner. Yes, I love it too. Let's see, Beardy, calling it now Pinocchio is going to get changed. You think Pinocchio is going to change in the near future as well? We'll see. Iron, oh, there's that name again. Iron Quasley, my dad 69. For example, TOT and the movie ride. TOT, what is TOT? Sometimes it's hard to remember what some of these initials are for things. I apologize. I'm the real Hermione Jean Granger. It's glad to meet you, Hermione. Glad you can come to the stream. I hate Princess and the Frog. Let's see, Yasmin Gonzalez Rios. Princess and the Frog will be a perfect Splash Mountain because in the movie they also are riding on the log. Yeah, I mean, not saying that they couldn't make this concept work with the ride. I think we're just thinking that it doesn't work with Frontierland. I think they're going to make a beautiful ride, and I think overall it'll be a wonderful attraction, but it's just it doesn't sort of fit in with Frontierland. Disneyland, I think it'll be a little easier, a little better, but it really doesn't fit in with Frontierland here. So, not sure about that. Simply Rodell, Critter Country will be dead in Disneyland. Maybe. Disney Nerd Herders, welcome. Splash Mountain was not the Old West either. It was the Deep South. Yeah, I guess you're right in saying that. You're right. It's the Deep South. So I guess we take that back. How does it really fit into Frontierland as well? I guess when you look at it, that's a very interesting point that just sort of opened up my whole mind to the concept of how we really perceive things and how we really think about things. Because we've seen it for so long, we automatically assume that Splash Mountain is part of the Old West. But you're right, it's the Deep South. So it isn't. Wow. You just blew my mind with that. Interesting. So it doesn't even fit into the whole Frontierland concept overall. But when you look at it, it does. You kind of look at it and you say, well, it looks like the mountain range. It looks like something, that fits in with, the mine train. It fits in with the whole concept of Frontierland out front. But the ride itself has nothing to do with the Old West. Very, very interesting. That's why I love these chats, because somebody always comes up with something that kind of makes sense. So, how they sort of envision the front of it and how they're going to make it look. And again, they do that with the overall view of it here. It seems like they're going to kind of keep the front looking the same. They have the logs going into that barn setting there. They're keeping the tree aspect, but it's going to be more swampy, more marshy looking. A lot of greenery, a lot of colors, a lot of flowers, which doesn't lend into the Old West very much. But again, you have to reserve judgment to the very end, until we're standing there in front of the attraction and we're standing in Frontierland, and to say, when it's done and we're looking at it, this works or this doesn't work. That's what I'm going to go for. So I'm going to reserve judgment because of I've just learned to do that. I don't like to jump the gun on a lot of these things anymore. So Pete here, it looks like a mine with a log flume in it. That could be. I think maybe if they don't, if they don't put a bunch of flowers and it's not brightly colored and pastels and everything on the front of it, and they just sort of redesign they could put the wrecked ship up in the tree there. That might be kind of cool, but leave it more of a dull, rustic sort of look to the front. And you can have Princess and the Frog, but don't make it overwhelming with colors and things like that, so it does blend in a little bit more on the outside. And then the inside, you can do whatever you want with it. You can make it a beautiful, colorful, musical experience on the inside, and kind of go with that. So maybe in Disneyland they'll have a completely different look to it. I mean, it's a small world in Disneyland, looks completely different than a small world here. A Haunted Mansion in Disneyland looks completely different than it does here. So maybe they'll have two different facades. The rides themselves will probably be very similar, but the two facades might look completely different, blending into what they'll look like overall, compared on where they sit in the park. So very good point. A lot of good points coming up here. So Dahlia, I've never been more happy in my life. When I was little, I sent a letter to Disney about how this should be a Tiana ride, as I wrote it. Well, there you go. Maybe they finally took your idea and ran with it. And unfortunately, you will probably never see a dime from that idea. But maybe your idea did inspire them. Too bad you won't get residuals from that, which is kind of a bummer. Let's see. Halabomb Man 2009. I just cannot read these names. Last time I checked, there was no mountain in New Orleans. In fact, New Orleans is below sea level. Another good point. That's why maybe, how they'll do this with a rapid setting or a waterfall. That's why I'm thinking it's going to be more Bayou Falls. I think would be a perfect name for it. And maybe it's just, something happens and there's, you have the fun ride, the attraction, and then all of a sudden something happens and there's a sinkhole that opens up. I mean, sinkholes could be possible, I guess, in Louisiana. They definitely are here in Florida. And, you fall down this waterfall, and, after the waterfall, things come back together, and you're, I don't know what the concept is going to be, but you're right. Not a whole lot of huge mountain ranges in Louisiana for sure. So an interesting point. The tree itself on top of the mountain would be interesting as well. Maybe they just redesign it. I mean, maybe they'll take away the waterfall itself. I mean, maybe they will reconstruct this as not being the huge drop that they have. And maybe if it's more of just a rapids type of ride without the huge drop. I think a lot of people will be upset if they take away that drop. That is pretty much the iconic purpose of the ride itself. So I can't see them doing that, but again, it's one of these things, and they're literally showing it in the concept art there, so it doesn't look like they're going to take that away. But we'll see. It'll be interesting to see how they imagine this at all. Let's see here. Hey, Disney Gal, thank you so much. $5 super chat. Where do you think Disney will get the money to do? At best, it will be an overlay. Tiana deserves something original, not a rehab thrown together ride. Disney Girl or Disney Gal, thank you so much for the super chat. Very much appreciated. And I agree with you 100%. I'm a big advocate for developing new overall attractions, especially for these larger IPs. I would have loved to have seen Tiana get her own attraction in itself, build something completely new and completely original for Tiana. Just making an overlay for this attraction, you're right, I don't think does it justice either. But they do what they think is best. And you're right, it's going to be less money to do something like this. It checks a lot of boxes for them, I think. It puts them, where the culture of the world is today. It checks that box. It takes away an IP that people have been unhappy with for quite some time. It takes that out of the park. It checks that box. It saves them a ton of money to just do an overlay. It checks that box for them. It puts Tiana in the park with her own attraction, checks that box. It checks a lot of boxes along the way. And for the Disney purists that are out there that love the old school Disney and doesn't like to see a whole lot of changes like this happen, I think we're just we're a dying breed out there, and Disney is looking ahead into the future of what they think is best. Again, you got Bob Chapek out there now, who is a big parks guy. He comes from the parks, and he's probably going to do what he feels is best and what is going to work best overall for the park concepts and where he wants to move the parks into the future. So we'll see. Bob Iger acquired all these things for Bob Chapek to go run with, and now we're going to see what Bob Chapek does as far as bringing these concepts into the parks. But I agree with you, Disney Gal, for sure. Let's see here. Anna, Dr. Facilier would be an awesome in a room where the laughing place was. I'm going to agree with you on that because I have no choice. I've never been on the ride, so wherever they place him, I'm sure will be a great place for sure, because I think he's a wonderful character. I think he's a great villain. Overall, the characters in Princess and the Frog, I truly love. I'm sure they can develop some sort of a room where you go in and there'll be all kinds of fireflies in there, and have a gorgeous setting with a beautiful, twinkling stars in the background. And, I'm sure they're going to do all that stuff. It sounds like they're going to be taking it from after the story, after the kiss, and sort of, maybe a continuation of the story. That's why I'm thinking, are they going to go on some sort of an adventure, travel outside of the bayou? Who knows what'll happen? Where's the river going to take them? Does it take them out of their element and down this huge waterfall, and then they have to get back into the bayou? Who knows what they'll do? Let's go flying. Best part about this movie is the people it upsets will stay home, making the parks even more magical. Maybe. The parks are always overwhelming, so if people choose to stay home or to not support something like this, again, that's a personal decision that people will make, and that's the country we live in. You get to make decisions best, what you think is best for you, and that's fine. This will not deter me from going to the park whatsoever. Again, it's not a ride that I ever rode. It's not going to affect me in either way. I'm a huge advocate for Tiana being in the park. She's actually one of my favorite meet and greets to go to. I think she is just a wonderful character. She's very heartfelt. The cast members that portray Tiana in the parks are wonderful. I love having conversations with her. I love talking about beignets and music, and she's just a wonderful princess overall. And I love that she's coming more into the parks. Just not in this fashion. I'm not a fan of, but we'll see. Kevin and Teresa, this is why Frozen at Epcot is so bad, because it's just an overlay, and Frozen does not belong in Epcot. Should have left Maelstrom alone. Totally agree with you. Not a fan of Frozen replacing Maelstrom. Does it fit into Epcot more so than the Guardians does? I think it does. They can put it in Norway. It's not completely a horrible fit there. I would much rather see Maelstrom there. My father's heritage, my grandfather's heritage, my heritage is Norwegian. We come from Norway. I don't personally come from Norway, but it's my heritage there. So I love going into Norway. I loved Maelstrom. I loved riding that ride. And for what it's worth, I still love riding that ride system, the backwards fall. I still see the troll there going, back over the falls. And I kind of think of that in my head, as I'm going through that ride and seeing the polar bears and things like that. So I have those memories, and I'm sure people will have memories as they go through the new Princess and the Frog ride, and they'll have their own, memories of, this is where, Brer Bear was, or this is where Laughing Place was. And I don't have those concepts in my head, but for those of you who do, that's just the memories we'll have to take with us. But, we'll kind of go on from there. Lorena, Tiana is already a photo op character. She doesn't need to fit in the ride. Like I said, I love her as a meet and greet. I do think that she is deserving of a ride and an attraction. I will disagree with you on that. I think they could have done something overall with a concept. The music, I think, the music just screams Disney attraction. But I don't like the overlay of Splash Mountain whatsoever. I think they could have done something else. They could have updated Splash Mountain. They could have done something else and given Tiana her own due as far as putting her in her own attraction that is not just an overlay. Mr. Gamer, yeah, they will keep the log flume. Let's let's see, Snow Cone Games, Princess and the Frog could have been its own ride concept, similar to The Little Mermaid. Exactly, they could have done something for younger children. And for me, I would have loved to see it more of a dark ride or an easier water ride for sure, more of a Pirates of the Caribbean setting. And you're right, in saying that, a Pirates of the Caribbean style setting, or it's a Small World style setting, could have been a lot better concept for this ride, because going through the bayou, it could have been a more peaceful journey through, just a water ride. You go through and you listen to the music, and you're right, there's not a whole lot of mountain ranges there. The huge drop maybe doesn't fit in so well to the bayou itself. But again, we'll have to reserve judgment until the very end, and we'll see what happens. Foxy with a Moxie, very cool name, signed the petition to keep Splash. I don't know if that petition's gonna work. I think there's petitions out there to get rid of Splash Mountain overall. I think Disney got more complaints about it, and I don't think there's going to be anything that's going to change this right now. It is what it is, and we are definitely not going to move away from this. Disney's made their mind up, and they've obviously gone through this concept. It's on the Disney blog, and we are rolling with it, and we're just kind of reacting to it and see what happens in the near future here. Maria, the ride should be the Travels in the Swamp, less changes to the ride. Let's Go Flying, Disney changes Tomorrowland Speedway cars to electric. Disney fans upset over the loss of the fumes. Yeah, you're never going to make everybody happy, for sure. I personally am one of those people too. I love going through there, and I love smelling the fumes. There's certain aspects of Disney that really get me, and one of which is the smells through the parks. The smells of the buses, the smell of the train, the smell of Main Street USA, the smell of the cars in Tomorrowland. All of these different senses and the things that we're so accustomed to and used to as we go through the parks, it's hard to take those away. Should they go to an electric car? I wouldn't have any problems with it, because I think it would fit in with the Tron theming. They could really combine those two and have a cool electric car, a neon car or something like that. If they want to do something like that to update Tomorrowland, they could do that. It's a better fit, I think, than trying to force Princess and the Frog into Frontierland. I think changing the Tomorrowland Speedway to electric cars fits in with the overall concept of Tomorrowland, because Tomorrowland does seem very dated right now as far as it being Tomorrowland. You're looking at it from a 50s sort of stance of what tomorrow looks like from the 50s and 60s versus what it looks like from 2020 looking into the future. So we'll see what happens with that. Let's see here. Nancy, I don't really care if they change this ride. I just think there are other things that are more in need. I agree. There's other things that they could address throughout the park and throughout all the parks. Just make a fifth park and put a lot of great concepts into a fifth park, but that is a whole nother horse to ride for sure. Pale W, leave Splash Mountain alone. You have to go oversee to see it. I'm the real Hermione Jean Granger again. You do care. I guess I'm jumping into a conversation here that you guys are having. M. Eggers, I want a brave Merida attraction. She's a princess too. I agree. I mean, there's a lot of different things they could do. Make a princess land. I mean, they have Fantasyland. They don't seem to be doing a lot with Fantasyland. Princess and the Frog should be in Fantasyland, or it should be in New Orleans Square. Definitely at Disneyland. But it's more of a Fantasyland attraction for Walt Disney World. A Frontierland attraction, I don't think it is. They could definitely go with a better concept and take Merida for sure and give her own attraction. I think she's deserving of it as well. That would be a very fun attraction that they can come up with. She does have the meet and greet, which she's a lot of fun to meet for sure. Tyler, Electric Autopia would be awesome. Yeah, I think they could really roll with that concept, and I thought that they were rolling with that concept for the electric cars to tie into the whole Tron theme. Because overall I think Tron is a great concept. If Disney really got something right, it's putting Tron in Tomorrowland. I think it's going to be amazing, an amazing looking attraction. That whole neon blue futuristic concept. Tron is perfect for Tomorrowland. It's computers. It's the future. It looks amazing. It's going to look really cool right next to Space Mountain. And if they were to change the concept of the electric cars out in front and make them just cool neon and stuff with the Tron theming, I think overall that would be great. Disney's heading in a better direction over in Tomorrowland than it seems like they're heading with Frontierland for sure now with what they're doing. But again, we'll see as we go along here. Anna, do you think we'll ever get our Tiana's place to eat at? I don't know. It would be great, to see. Maybe they'll put something over there to make another addition to this. Maybe a Tiana's place. We'll see. I'm trying to think what's over there. Oh, geez. I just thought of it. Right across, they have Pecos Bills. Interesting. I wonder if they'll take Pecos Bills and change it over to Tiana's place. Who knows? That would be... I'm trying to think of that in my mind. I'd hate to lose Pecos Bills over there too, because I love Pecos Bills and I love the cartoon short of Pecos Bill. But now that you just said that, imagine them taking and turning it into Tiana's place over there. That would be, it would make sense if they were to do it. Who knows? That's an interesting concept for sure. Accidental Alien, that literally doesn't even fit with the theming of Frontierland. Exactly, we've been talking about that a lot. Why not give her own ride in Fantasyland for sure? Anna, I just want a cute little Tiana's place to eat at with a proper meet and greet for her. Is she going to move out of Princess Hall now and move over to her new attraction? Is that where the meet and greet is going to be? Will they take Pecos Bills, make it into Tiana's place, and have a complete meet and greet over there to where you'll have, a character meet and greet, a breakfast, a dinner, those kind of things? Are they going to gut Pecos Bills and make it into a new restaurant instead of a quick service over there? Who knows? There's the that little place right next to Splash Mountain. I forget what it's called, but they have the tater tots and stuff. And the waffle fries. It's a small, just little quick stand there, but maybe they'll take that and change it into something more themed towards Tiana. Who knows? I mean, they can go in 100 different directions now with this. Let's see. Stalin loves Disney. Will Princess Leia ever be made an official Disney princess? Have her character in the parks? I would love to see it. There was a thing going around that why she wouldn't be considered a Disney princess now. I would love that, if they were to incorporate her into that, but it seems to be only animation that they do Disney princesses. But Princess Leia is well deserving of being a Disney princess for sure. Nancy, I can't see this happening anytime soon. Disney, of course, is saying that this has been in the works since last year. I wonder because usually you hear the snippets of rumors. I agree with you, and the reason I say that is because they had already just closed down Splash Mountain for refurbishment here in Florida. So why at that point wouldn't you just leave it down and run with this whole concept? That's why I think if it was in the works, if they were talking about it, why they didn't be more proactive and not reactive to what's going on in the country right now, which I'm sure it was in the works. I'm sure they've talked about concepts for this already, but it just seems more reactive and not something that they could have done a while back. So let's see. Kevin, the Waffle Fry stand by Splash Mountain used to sell McDonald's fries back in the day. They did. What, really? I didn't know that. It's a cool little stand. I just had the cheese bacon waffle fries there, and it was actually really good. I actually had that right before they closed. I remember wiping down the table with sanitizer and everything so I could eat those fries. So it's a good little stand there. I never knew they had McDonald's fries. That's pretty cool. The things you learn here. Let's see, Voo Swing. Hopefully I got that right. Thank you so much for the $4.99 super chat. That is awesome. You said great show. I appreciate that. It's big news, and this is, there's always changes in the parks. There's always going to be concept changes and things like that. I think this is just big right now because of the fact of what's going on in the world. It's Splash Mountain. It's something that Disney has talked about changing in the past. It's something that people have always been up in arms about, as far as the symbolism and things in the ride. And this is big news because on so many different levels. It's a huge ride. It's one of a favorite for many people that go to Disneyland and Disney World. So to take this ride and completely reimagine it is a huge deal, let alone the concept behind what the changes probably are reflecting, the state of our world right now and the things that are going on, which I'm a huge advocate for. I'm glad that Disney does make these changes, and I hope that they make more changes for the good in the future. But it's a big deal. This is really a big deal on so many levels. It's not just changing an overall concept of a ride and taking something that people love away, but it's it's changing because of the changes that are going on in the world. You can look at it at 100 different things. It's big news, and it kind of makes you wonder what other things are going to change because of it, and hopefully for the better. But it really gets you thinking, along the way of what else are they going to change in Frontierland? Is Frontierland itself going to change overall in concept now in Walt Disney World based on this? I hope that it doesn't. I would love to see a Tiana's Place, but I don't want them to funnel over into Pecos Bills or something like that. Who knows what they're going to do? This is just to kind of spark the conversation and get the juices flowing. And I love seeing, the ideas and stuff that people are talking about here. The other big one is, you're right, Song of the South was set, obviously, in the Deep South, had nothing to do with the frontier, the Wild West, any of that. So, saying that it doesn't fit into the Frontierland concept really doesn't hold water, because Song of the South and Splash Mountain really didn't fit into it when you really think of it. That was brought up in the chat as well. So making the Bayou fit into Frontierland, they'll have to come up with that concept, and maybe it'll just be, years from now, it'll just be part of the Disney landscape, and it'll just be, what we're used to. Because Splash Mountain is deceiving. I never thought of it that way. It just always seemed like Frontierland. Splash Mountain, it's there, it's what we're used to, but it has nothing to do with the frontier. It has nothing to do with the West. It's completely southern based. So wow, the things that open up your mind. Let's see, Matthew, Rob, is this just Walt Disney World? It is not. If you're just tuning in here, I'll kind of go through this again. Basically, Disney announced on the Disney Parks blog, today we are thrilled to share the first glimpse of a project Imagineers had been working on since last year. They say since last year. Splash Mountain at both Disneyland Park in California and the Magic Kingdom Park in Florida will soon be completely reimagined. The theme is inspired by an all-time favorite animated Disney film, The Princess and the Frog. We pick up this story after the final kiss and join Princess Tiana and Louis in a musical adventure featuring some of the powerful music from the film as they prepare for the first ever Mardi Gras performance, for their first ever Mardi Gras performance. See, the more and more you read this, the more and more little details come out. So as they prepare for their first ever Mardi Gras performance, so they are definitely going to be sticking with the Mardi Gras theme. It's definitely going to be a Bayou theme. They're not going off on some crazy adventure. It sounds like it's just going to be musically based. It's after everything had happened. It sounds like it's after what happened in the movie with the kiss. Again, no mention of Naveen, no mention of Facilier. So we'll see what happens. She's obviously the princess. You can see in the concept art. We bring this back over again. Bring this up. You can see that she is there. She's in her princess dress. She has her princess tiara on. Louis is there with the horn, so I'm assuming she's married to Naveen. So we'll see how this all fits into the overall concept of things as we go ahead here. Let's see here. Renstein 45, no, keep Splash Mountain the way it is. In capital letters too, very, very passionate about that. People are definitely going to have opinions on either side of this. Passionate about not wanting to lose Splash Mountain, passionate about not wanting these changes made, changes in the park, whether they're good, they're bad, what the meaning behind them are. Change is always a difficult thing. Karen, it's similar to Star Tours ride, sitting next to the Muppet Theater in Studios. Yeah, that's a good point too. They have Star Tours that's like a sore thumb, kind of sitting out in the middle of, right next to Muppet Vision 3D. Now that they have, Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, and then Star Tours is completely a separate attraction. So maybe it's just going to be this sort of weird thumb that sits in the center of Frontierland. And again, it's sort of how they theme the front entrance, and they theme the facade of it on how it will sort of incorporate into Frontierland. The ride itself can be whatever it is. Once you're inside the ride, the concept of the ride can be whatever it is. It doesn't have to be a Wild Wild West show, as we've already pointed out with Song of the South is set in the Deep South. But the facade of the ride itself has to blend in a little bit with Frontierland. It doesn't look like by the concept art that they are doing that so much. But we'll see. Maybe this is more of a New Orleans Square base for Disneyland, and the concept art for Walt Disney World will be a little different. Karen Chappelle, thank you so much. $19.99 super chat. That is awesome. Very, very generous. I appreciate that. Thanks for all your hard work, Rob, to keep us updated on all things at Disney. You are very welcome. This is huge news. I really wanted to jump on here and just and get people's reactions from this. Karen, thank you so much for the super chat. Very generous. It's much appreciated. But yeah, this is it's a tough pill to swallow. It's a big change, and again, it's not a ride that I ride, so I can't really throw my hat in the ring here and say that it's really a heartbreaker for me. If they completely change Pirates, or they completely change the Haunted Mansion, or they completely went into the Carousel of Progress and re-gutted it to be a whatever theming they would come up with, an Incredibles theme, and put it in the Carousel of Progress, I would be just beside myself if they did something like that. And it doesn't seem like they're afraid to do that kind of stuff. Maybe they'll take the Incredibles and take the Incredibles family and watch the Incredibles family progress through the years. And I would see them doing something like that, and it would just absolutely would break my heart. I would hate to see something like that, but things keep happening, and we just have to stay on board with it and see what happens. Resort budgeting, you are very, very welcome. It's much appreciated. Matthew, how many more classics do they have to kill off? I understand the changes to the pirates to get rid of this ride altogether is stupid and political pandering. Yeah, it's, again, this is, what we're here for, to hear everybody's opinions. I don't personally like to see things killed off as well. I'm not a huge advocate for change. I understand and I support the change for this particular attraction. It is what it is. I mean, the movie, the concept behind it, I understand, and I'm not taking away from that at all, and I'm for changes that are positive, but it's difficult to see changes happen like this, for it to be the Princess and the Frog, for it to be Tiana to replace this particular attraction. There's a lot being said there. It's for a reason, and it's for a positive reason. And they say it over and over again. They're taking Princess and the Frog. Tiana is a modern, courageous, and empowered woman who pursues her dreams and never loses sight of what is really important. They also say, where else was it here? They want this experience to tell a fresh and relevant story. So they're obviously doing this for a reason. Tiana is a diverse and empowering, a self-made woman who is coming in here. She's changing the world. She's taking an old, dated concept and coming in here and making it a more fresh concept for today. So I get it, and I'm an advocate for that. Again, I love Tiana as a character. I love the movie. But Disney is really, as we read more and more in between the lines here with what they've written, they're doing this for a reason, and they're using Princess and the Frog for a specific reason, to come in here and replace this particular attraction. So again, it's my personal opinion that I'm an advocate for this. I like the change. I like the reason for the change. I don't particularly like change for what it is. I didn't like losing Universe of Energy. I didn't like losing Maelstrom. Overall, I didn't like losing a lot of the Hollywood Studios concepts, for a lot of the things that they're doing in Hollywood Studios now. It's cool. I love Star Wars. I love Galaxy's Edge. I love Toy Story Land. I hope that they expand more into Pixar through Hollywood Studios, but I loved the old MGM Studios. I loved the working studio. I loved the backstage tour. I loved the Osborne lights. They took the Osborne lights for us to give us Star Wars. I would trade all of Star Wars back to get the Osborne lights back. I just loved it. So what they're doing here is, it is what it is. They're taking more concepts away and replacing them. But this one I particularly happen to, I don't want to use the word agree with. I mean, I do agree with it. I stand behind it 100%. But maybe it could have been something different, and just to update the attraction itself, keep the concepts behind it, but update the attraction. Take away the whole Song of the South relevance to it, and just update it into its own attraction, and give Tiana a completely separate attraction in Fantasyland. I think would have been a better mood personally for me, because I would actually get to ride it then, maybe, and see Tiana, because I won't ride Splash Mountain unless they take that 5-story drop or whatever and make it into a 1-story drop. Maybe they'll do that and I'll ride it. But we'll see. P-Tier, the Tower of Terror Guardians makeover was awful. Yeah, another one I think was a bad mistake, just trying to throw the IP into the park for whatever reason. Let's see, Tyler, we might not all agree on the on the re-theme, but we can all agree that Rob's discussions are the best. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. I try to inject, what I think about things and how I look at things, but I always want to respect what everybody else thinks about things as well, because, Disney World is not just for me. It's not just for you. It's for everyone. And again, this is something, if you don't appreciate this, there's something else there that is appreciated for you. And that's what makes Disney great, is there is an array of things that we can all appreciate and that we can all get out of the parks no matter what. Some of the things we may like, some of the things we may not like. It's all a personal preference. But I just love talking about them, and I will give you my personal opinions and tell you that I reserve a lot of opinions now, because I've learned to wait to the very end to see when something is completed and done before you just overreact. Obviously, when I opened this morning too, and I saw it and I said, oh, this is wow. So many things went through my head. This is a reaction. They're doing this because of this and that, and it's an awful thing, and it's more change, and I hate changes. But then I started saying, personally, I love Princess and the Frog. I love seeing that artwork. That just really makes me personally happy. I love the movie. I love the music. I love Tiana. I love Louis. I love all the characters. So the more I think about it, it makes me happy to see that she is in the park and she does have a ride. I don't particularly care for it being Splash Mountain. I wish it was something else. I wish it was her own attraction and things like that. But that's my opinion. You guys have your own opinions as well. I'm sorry if I miss some of your comments. I'm really trying to get to them as best as I can here. Let's Go Flying. I enjoy the Country Bears personally, but there's not too much in Frontierland that's a draw for the kids. You're right. And again, that's what Disney looks at, I think, overall. When you bring your 10-year-old to the park, what are they seeing? They're seeing the Country Bears. They're seeing Splash Mountain. They're seeing the Tiki Room and those kind of things, which I love. They're my favorite things, but they're not seeing Tiana. They're coming in there saying, well, how come I can't ride a Tiana ride? Or how come I can't ride a Guardians of the Galaxy ride? Or how come I can't ride, an Avengers ride? There's other reasons behind, why you can't ride an Avengers ride, because of contracts and things like that. But, you have to find a mix of what they're going to keep from the old and what they're going to bring in from the new. It's a difficult thing. I wouldn't want to be sitting in that chair. I wouldn't want to. I'd love to have Bob Chapek's job, of course, but in another fashion, I would not want to have that job, because there's no concept to win. I'm sure Bob Chapek or Bob Iger have their own loves and desires that they love about Disney too. And, you have to sit there and you say, well, this is what's going to be best for moving into the future. If we all, if there's just a handful of rides that, that they keep around forever, pretty soon Disney has to make money. They have to keep their doors open. They have to have new attractions there to bring people in, to keep people coming back and to get new people coming. It would be selfish to say, well, I just want to go and I want to have Disney in the 1990s bubble that I love, because it wouldn't stay there for long. They wouldn't have the money to keep the doors open, and we would lose it all together. So Disney has to make these decisions, these hard decisions to, what do we do to keep the doors open for years and years and years into the future, and to be on the cutting edge of things, and to be the leaders in this industry, and to keep making these movies, and to keep making people happy. It's a hard thing, and they have to make these sort of decisions, unfortunately, that we may not like, but in the long run, it gives me the ability, it gives you the ability to still go through an open door well, not right now because of what's going on, but eventually to get through an open door at the Magic Kingdom and to walk in and still see Disney, to still be able to experience Disney and not have the doors closed because we didn't like the fact that they wanted to change a ride into the future. So that seemed a little long-winded, but I think you got the point, the gist of what I was trying to say there. And I'm talking. That tastes pretty good. It's just water. Let's see. What else do we have here? Sherry Awesome Sunset Travels. Hello. Thank you for joining us. Again, if you're just coming into the stream here, big news announced this morning that Disney Parks blog has announced that Splash Mountain is being rethemed over to The Princess and the Frog. They are making that huge leap to get away from the Song of the South and head to the Bayou at Disneyland and at Walt Disney World. And they're going to retheme Splash Mountain and change it over to The Princess and the Frog. So whatever your opinion is on that, we'd love to hear that. Let me jump back a little bit here. I see these comments go jumping on me here sometimes. Kristen, and I think it's going to be the Bayou, probably answering a question about the theming. Anna, will Frontierland completely go away in the next few years, do you think? That's one of the things we've been talking about. I would hope not. I mean, to do away with the overall concept of Frontierland, I think is huge. And that's a lot. That's a big deal to do that overall. I don't think that they would make that big of a jump. I think they're going to incorporate a little bit of The Princess and the Frog, and the concept art that we see here, I think is going to be more focused for Disneyland, and hopefully they'll come up with a better concept, a better overall facade for Walt Disney World and Frontierland. Now, whether or not they'll move other properties in to more of a New Orleans Square setting, or just come up with a whole new setting to get all together. Maybe they'll just make it a Mid-America theme or an America theme altogether. I don't know. Who knows? They could have different concepts: Frontierland, the Old West, the Bayou, whatever, Midwest, whatever else they want to bring in to the overall land is yet to be seen. We talked about Tiana's Place. I thought if they would bring in a Tiana's Place, they would take Pecos Bills over and make that into a Tiana's Place. Who knows what they'll do in the future? It's scary. It's fun, but it's scary all in the same breath, for sure. I'm the real Hermione Granger. This is the worst change. Douglas, I'm with you, Rob. I wish I could go and have shown my grandkids the Osborne lights. Absolutely. I really wish they would come up with something for the Osborne lights and put them somewhere else. I wish they would do something, even take it to like Disney Springs. And they have so many really pretty areas through Disney Springs now. You could do in that whole new district down by the Coke store, and how that sort of leads through down by all that it's all that covered area there. I'm trying to think of some of the other stores, but there's that whole straightaway there that has all those really high-end beautiful stores, and there's all kinds of coverings and stuff and all kinds of trees through there. They could put the Osborne lights through there and do that through the Christmas time. I just really wish they would bring them back, because what an amazing experience to see the Osborne lights. And I mean, Christmas just doesn't feel like Christmas. I mean, just standing there with that music and the lighting and the snow, and just it's so beautiful, the Osborne lights. And I just hope they bring them back somewhere. Maybe with a fifth gate they'll develop something for the Osborne lights, but it doesn't seem like they're going to do anything with it, and that's really kind of a bummer. Hey, Danielle Gordon, appreciate you coming onto the stream. Hey, Rob, how are you? I'm sorry I'm late. I'm just intrigued to see this. Yeah, again, if you're just coming on, have the announcement, Princess and the Frog is replacing Splash Mountain. That is really a shock to the Disney community. Philip Joseph, there's just too many changes right now. Yeah, changes all over the place, and however you want to look at it, if it's a good thing or if it's a bad thing, Disney is always going to have to change. I just got up on my soapbox for that. Whether or not I always agree with it, or you always agree with it, is another story altogether. But there's always going to be changes. Disney's always going to go through these things. Some of them are good, some of them are bad. This one's kind of a tough pill for a lot of people to swallow, it seems like. Nancy, Robert, you doing reopening day. Still waiting for them to open up the pass holder previews, which I think they're going to open up tomorrow for reservations. So hoping, be able to get on that. I would love to. Honestly, am I a little nervous to do it? I am. The cases here in Florida are going crazy. They just announced that Disneyland will not be opening because of the cases out there in California. I honestly would not see the I don't know if Disney World is going to look at it as well. It wouldn't shock me if Disney World delays their opening now because of all the cases that are happening here in Florida as well. So kind of a scary thing. I'm just looking at some of the other headlines here. Hang on a second. Let's see if let me update the blog here and see. Now this is still the lead story. They haven't put anything else out yet. It's kind of a big shock right now. So yeah, that's definitely the lead story still there on the blog. Chewy Splash Mountain was my favorite ride. It's definitely going to be a lot of people's favorites for sure. I don't disagree with that. Not a ride that I ever rode because it's just not for me. But a lot of people are bummed by this. Chewy Goodbye Brer Rabbit. The characters Brer Bear and Brer Rabbit. I mean, I really do love those characters. In fact, I have little characters of Brer Bear and Rabbit. I don't even think you can buy them anymore. I got those back in the 90s. What else do I have up there? Yeah, I think I just have Brer Bear and Brer Rabbit. But I doubt if you can even buy those characters anymore. In fact, let me hang on a second. I'll be right back. Don't anybody go anywhere. All right, so crazy enough, look at this. I actually have, there's Brer Rabbit. I don't know how focused we can get him here, but there's Brer Rabbit. I doubt if you can even find him anymore. Brer Fox. Again, I got these back in the 90s when I went. And there's Brer Bear. So definitely won't be able to find these anymore. I have all kinds of little characters, a lot of older characters too, probably ones that you really couldn't find anymore. But yeah, it is what it is. They're taking it away, and again, I'm actually an advocate for it. I totally understand why they're doing it, and personally, I think the change needed to be made. But overall, I think they probably could have just redesigned the concept of Splash Mountain and not did the Tiana overlay there. I don't think it's a good fit for that particular environment. They could have given Tiana her own attraction somewhere in Fantasyland, which I really believe they should. I think it's a wonderful concept. The Bayou, I think, could be a great concept. The music is outstanding. Characters, again, would really work out. But as far as them taking over Splash Mountain, kind of a bummer. Nancy, yeah, Rob, I know what you mean. You need to stay safe, and it would be a hard decision for us to take the trip this summer. I think a lot of people are actually thinking that. They're really sort of really kind of taking into consideration everything that's going on, and I think the attendance is not going to be that great even when they do open. I'm going to try for my reservation, and I'm just a little nervous about going. Like I said, the cases are just going crazy here in Florida, California. They're not going to be opening there, so it's a personal decision. Definitely got to take every safety precaution we can here, but it's a scary thing that we have to deal with. Disney Houston's double check that, Rob, Disneyland was pushed according to Disney because California hasn't given park guidelines. They are scheduled to do so the 1st of July, and it's not enough time to train the staff, etc. Okay, so maybe I really didn't read too far into it. I just sort of heard a headline this morning, so I won't give. This is just what I heard, that they are delaying it, I guess, for whatever reasons. Maybe they will open it at just a little bit later date, but it's something that they're going to have to really consider. With the cases rising in both states. So we'll see as we go. Chewy, can't believe they're changing the soundtrack as well. Yeah, for Splash Mountain, it's going to be all the Tiana theme for sure. Which I love the music from Princess and the Frog. I have no problem with that. Sherry's Awesome Sunset Travels. I know a lot of people don't like the IP and updating it with the times, but I don't agree. I love the IP, and I love when they incorporate the new characters into the exciting rides. It's a win-win. Let's see. I don't think there's a lot of people that like the IP, but I don't agree. I love the IP. So you're saying that you do like the Princess and the Frog, which I agree. I love the characters. I'm glad that they're bringing them into the parks. I wish they would have put it somewhere else, though, or done something else. I'm not a fan of the overlays, just to take a ride and overlay it. Don't really like that so much. James, oh my, what a horrible day. Yeah, no longer a happy place anymore. Anna, yeah, this will even happen soon due to the lack of funds. Where will they find the money? Yeah, I'm sure Disney is not doesn't have a huge revenue stream coming in right now, so may not see a whole lot of major things, and this is the easiest route for them to take as far as just an overlay. Holly Dillon, they should also remove Trump and the other racist presidents from the Hall of Presidents. There you go. I don't want to turn this into a political thing. I don't want to start bringing president candidates and things like that into that, please. But they could look all over. There's stuff that they could find, nuances throughout the parks that they could change, for sure. Janet, I'm very sad. I love Splash Mountain and the music. It's a classic. Princess and the Frog does not fit into Frontierland. Yeah, that seems to be the overall concept right now. Is it may fit pretty well into Disneyland, but it doesn't fit into Frontierland. So it'll be interesting to see how they develop that and make that really fit into Frontierland. We'll have to wait and see for sure. Let's see here. Matthew, please don't change it. And I give Tiana a fully done ride she deserves, not an overlay. I'm with you on that 100%. Let's see, is that Kono Commander? Kono Commander, I think I got that right. What about the meet and greets? They're gone for good. They're gone for now. Hopefully they're not gone for good. Hopefully one day we're going to get back to to where we can actually have physical contact with people again. We'll see as time goes on, but a good point about meet and greets altogether is Tiana is currently over in Princess Hall, over in Fantasyland, which again, I don't know why you just wouldn't put an attraction over there for Princess and the Frog where it belongs. But will now she move from there over to to her attraction. I would assume she would, because the Little Mermaid, is with her attraction. What other attractions are in there? Jasmine and Aladdin are over in Adventureland with the magic carpets. So it would just make sense that she will ultimately move over and have her meet and greet over in Frontierland as well, which is another weird thing. I mean, how are you going to have her meet and greet over there? I just think there's going to be a lot of crazy things happening over there. I think this is just scratching the surface of what is going to happen in Frontierland. Tom Sawyer Island, somebody brought up earlier in the chat. I think that's going to be another one that they're going to dive into as well, and do some changes with Tom Sawyer Island. The official Trevor, zippity doo dah, zippity yay. I know that song. Yeah, it's going to be a hard song to not get out of your head. And it really is a staple of, Disney. Listening to that song, everybody has a laughing place, zippity doo dah. I mean, it's in a lot of the park music itself. It's just ingrained into, when you think of park music and you think of parades and fireworks and background music and things like that, you hear zippity doo dah. It's part of the Disney culture. So, are they going to just move away from it altogether? Are we never going to hear zippity doo dah in the parks again? That would be kind of a bummer. Lori, cool collection, Rob. Yeah, sometime I'm definitely going to go through a lot of my collection. I have a lot of old school stuff like this, crazy stuff. But I will do an office tour. You can see a bunch of stuff behind me and everything. We'll do that sooner or later. All right, we'll hit a few more comments here. Juan, at least they keep the drop right. We'll see. As far as the concept art goes here, we can kind of see in the concept art itself that it looks similar. They have the drop there. There's it looks like the mountain, and there's going to be a big tree on the top with some sort of a shipwreck in the tree, and the log flumes are there. So the ride itself is probably going to be pretty similar to what it is, and they're just going to do the overlay. Somebody brought up earlier, there's not a whole lot of mountain ranges in Louisiana, so I don't know how you're going to get a 5-story drop and incorporate that into the ride concept. So maybe they'll change that, maybe they won't, but overall concept art shows it looking pretty similar to what it is now. Peter, do they think they will take out Frontierland completely, like Andy's room to the beginning of Toy Story, changing it from the cowboy space? I hope not. I love Frontierland. It's one of my favorite lands. I think of it really gets me in the Disney mood. Hearing, even when you hear like some banjo music or fiddle playing and stuff like that, it just, even if it's nothing to do with Disney, it just kind of takes you into that feeling of Frontierland. When you hear like old Western stuff, or you see like an old Western, it's like, oh, it's Frontierland. It's, it's the old shooting gallery, or it's Country Bear Jamboree, or it's Davy Crockett and the coonskin caps, and the mountain ranges and stuff like that. It's can you call them mountain ranges now anymore? Once we you have Big Thunder Mountain, you have Space Mountain, and you can have Bayou Mountain. It's you can't even call it a mountain anymore. I don't know. I think Bayou Falls, again, I'm throwing my hat in the ring and wanting to call this Bayou Falls would be a good name for it, but you can't call it a mountain range anymore. You don't have mountain ranges in Louisiana, to my knowledge. So it'll be interesting to see. Let's see here. A couple more. Matthew, but Splash Mountain is a part of Critter Country, not New Orleans Square or Frontierland or Fantasyland. Yeah, I'm not 100% sure about Disneyland as far as where it sits. Is it, could they, I think they could probably get away with it more in Disneyland than they can here in Disney World. It just doesn't make any sense here in Disney World. At least they have a New Orleans Square in Disneyland that you can kind of run with. Here they don't have anything related to Louisiana at all, or New Orleans, or anything. So that's why I'm thinking they're going to change overall concepts of Frontierland to integrate more of a diversity in Frontierland, and maybe just call it Mid-America, or Americaland, or I don't know what they'll call it, but I think they're going to do more changes than what we see here now. Yeah, if they do an overlay of Big Thunder Mountain, I think people are going to go through the roof with that as well. Christian Frontierland, Cowboys and Indians will be banned. Maybe overall the concept they will, you know. Let's see here. MT, to change Splash Mountain is 21,000 signatures. To keep Splash Mountain the way it is 36,000 signatures and growing. Sign it. Save Splash Mountain. Hey, go ahead and sign it. If it's out there, you know, be proactive. This is obviously the country we live in. We can protest things, and we can sign petitions, and we can try to make changes and come together and do things. You know, it's not like making a change overall in the government or the country. Disney is a private company, so, you know, I guess money talks. If, you know, thousands and hundreds of thousands of people say they're going to sign a petition and they don't want this, and, you know, it's going to be a money thing, maybe that's a different story, but I doubt it. This seems to be definitely the way they're going now. I don't think there's going to be anything that's going to change this now, but we'll see. Chewy, Walt, thanks a lot, Disney. Walt would have never done this. Juan Gonzalez, if they get rid of the drops, all drops, I will be sad and will never step foot on that land unless it's for Big Thunder Mountain. So there you go. You know, you don't like it, you don't want to see the drops go. I'd actually like to see the drop go personally, but I think there's more people definitely that do not want to see the drops go. You know, people love the rides and the thrill and everything, which is great. I love that they're there. Just not personally for me. I would like a nice, peaceful, dark ride with Tiana in it, and I would be happy. I was just thinking that, Nancy. What will they do with the Cigar Indian? Is he next to Feel the Axe? He has been gone for a very, very long time. They used to have the Cigar Indian, and he is nowhere, as far as I know. I don't know if he's in Disneyland. He's definitely not in Disney World anymore. Yeah, that was taken out many, many years ago. Let's see. Will there? Let's see. Will the Brer characters ever come out again, or were they too far gone? I think those characters are just going to be gone. They'll not be part of the Disney landscape anymore. Like I said, you can't even, as far as I know, I mean, I don't see them in the parks anywhere. I don't think. I mean, I guess I've never been in the gift shop over there at Splash Mountain, so maybe you still can buy those characters, but like I said, I haven't seen those characters personally like these since back in the 90s, so I don't think that they will run with these characters anymore. Maybe in an obscure fashion, you might see something, but I think Disney's making it pretty clear that they're running away from this property as quickly as possible. MT, this is not happening. MT, this is not a dream. This is happening. Just go log on to Disney Parks blog. You'll see it. It might be a nightmare for some people. Tyler, Rob, any decisions on what your first roller coaster will be? Well, it's definitely not going to be Tiana, although I'd love it to be, because I guess this isn't a roller coaster, but it's got a drop. I'd love to ride Tiana because I love the IP, but I believe the decision will be the Seven Dwarfs Mine Train. I think unanimously people are agreeing that that's probably the best first coaster try out. So we'll give that a shot in the near future. Probably not anytime real soon, because I'm not just thrilled about, what's going on with the pandemic and everything in general. So we'll see. We'll wait for a happier time in life to experience something like that and to share it with you guys. But I definitely will. I will do it, and I will live stream it. I keep promising it, and I it's not on the back burner. It's going to be something that I do, and I'll be scared out of my wits, but it'll be fun. You guys will get a kick out of laughing at me in my terror. But I'll probably end up loving it, and maybe it will work me up to riding Tiana someday. We'll see. Or Bayou Falls, as I'm calling it. I'm coining that name right now, Bayou Falls. You heard it here first. Seven Dwarfs is fun, yeah. See, Ocean Coasters. Hi, I just came here. Again, if you guys are just joining, I see Spicy Sports and stuff. Will the ride be good? Like, are you okay with the change? Erica Ramirez Gaming 101, Splash Mountain is my favorite ride. I am super upset to see it go. So a lot of new people coming in. Let me swap back over here again. So basically, Disney has announced this morning that new adventures with Princess Tiana coming to Disneyland Park and Magic Kingdom. To sum this up, basically they are taking Splash Mountain and they are retheming it. They're going to do an overlay, it seems like, with the Princess and the Frog, and this is going to happen in both Walt Disney World and Frontierland and Disneyland in California. And you can kind of see an overall concept here. Let me drag this over here again. So this is the concept art that they released, and you can see it's still kind of that Splash Mountain drop. It doesn't look like they're dropping the drop, no pun intended, I guess, but it's still the log flumes. There's going to be a big bayou tree, a big swampy tree up at the top, and it looks like some sort of a shipwreck up there. You got Tiana and Lewis, all kinds of bright colors. Obviously the Mardi Gras theming with all that. The music, they're going to incorporate all the music, the Princess and the Frog music. There's no mention in the article itself about Naveen or Dr. Facilier. So, excuse me, I'm sorry guys. I've been talking for 2.5 hours here. So no mention of that, but I'm sure they're going to incorporate all the characters in there. But they just focus right now on Tiana and Lewis. And they are definitely doing this. The change is happening. They said they've been working on this for over a year. But, this comes at the time when there's a lot of culture changings happening and a lot of protests and everything in the country right now. And as you read the article, there's a lot of references to changes and modern theming, and Tiana's a modern, courageous, and empowered woman, those kind of things. So I think they're taking the old outdated concepts and they're bringing in a newer concept, and they're going to overlay it with something that's more positive and things like that. So, be it as it may, how you feel about it, everybody's going to have their own opinions, for good or for bad. And, it's happening. And this is just kind of what we're going with now. So we've been talking about it for about the last 2.5 hours, and I think we've beat it as much as we can here. We're definitely going to keep an eye on this and see what happens in the future here. We'll definitely keep you posted as more stuff comes out. I'll do more live streams and keep you guys in tune with this, and we'll definitely keep talking about it. This was a fun stream today. I appreciate everyone coming on here. I definitely appreciate the super chats. You guys are amazing. Always helps to support everything. If you haven't subscribed here before and you're just kind of jumping on here, please subscribe. We do all kinds of live streams, and we go through the parks and do live streams and just have a lot of fun. We talk a lot about the Disney Skyliner and just kind of things like that, like this that happen in the world. So if you enjoyed it, that is awesome. I enjoyed having you here. Much appreciated. Thank you so much for all the wonderful ideas in the chat. It really got my mind thinking about a lot of different things, and I'll try to dive into those a little more, as time goes on here as well. So much appreciated. you guys have a wonderful day. Don't try to be too distraught about this. Again, let's just sit back. Let's wait to see what happens. Let's wait for more concept art and wait to the final product before we jump all over, and say this is a horrible thing or not. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to wait and see and make my decision in the very end, and hopefully things will work out well. So you guys have a wonderful day. We'll be live again very soon, I do promise. Make sure you hit that bell icon so you get notified, so you know when I'm live, and we'll have some great discussions. So you guys take care, and we'll talk to you very, very soon. Bye-bye. Zippity-doo-dah.